What's going on, folks? It's your boy Aaron Dante. You know, on NoPixAfterDark podcast, we bring the heavy hitters. We pick people from Baltimore, D.C., Virginia, Philly, New York, all over. And it's Women's History Month. Why not highlight women and what women are doing out here? We got to listen and learn and say, hey, support. So I have this amazing guest that I've been trying to get on. She's been jet setting all across, all over. She's jet setting. So for me to get her on the show, it's a blessing and honor to have her on the show. So the next voice you'll hear is Miss Corinna Delgado, and you can learn a little bit more about her and her story. Be right back.
No Picks After Dark is sponsored by Snug Books, an independent bookstore serving Northeast Baltimore and beyond. In addition to featuring new books for all ages, the store also carries cards, stationery, gifts, games, and more. Visit snugbooks.com to shop online, learn more about the store, read our latest newsletter, and find a calendar of events, or come browse the store in person. Snug Books is located at 4717 Harford Road, next to Zeke's Coffee in Hamilton, Laurelville. There is free parking behind the store, and open hours are Tuesday through Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Welcome to the No Picks After Dark podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Dante. You know, I always bring the heavy hitters, like I said earlier. I'm so excited about this guest. I mean, she's in Miami one week. She could be in Milan. You know, I don't know. But I'm so happy to have her on. Miss Corinna Delgado, how are you doing today?
Grinding and grateful.
Thank you so much for coming down to Baltimore.
Yeah, my pleasure. You know, I'm actually up here pretty frequently.
Okay.
One of the radio stations I'm on, Mix 106.5, is here in Baltimore. So we were just up here for the 34th annual Johns Hopkins Children's Center Radiothon.
Love it.
Yes, and we broke records, by the way. We were able to raise over $1.4 million for the Children's Hospital for right here in our own backyard in Baltimore.
I love it. I love it.
So I love Charm City.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I love it. So, you know, Baltimore. I love Baltimore. I do like D.C.
Yeah.
D.C. I always tell people I go for dinner. I go to Baltimore. D.C. on Sunday I go for brunch.
Okay.
That's
yeah.
It's the only place I know you can start brunch at 12 o'clock and it's going on to 9 o'clock in the night.
Yeah.
Only place. But let's give the little quick bio of Miss Corinna, okay? We're going to jump around, okay? She's been a voice and broadcaster for over 20 years, more than 12 stations across the country. Delgado has been a reporter and anchor for ABC and Fox affiliates in Anchorage, Alaska. We're talking about, in addition, she's opening for countless acclaimed artists in Def Jam Poetry, a Grammy Award artist, The Roots, World Poetry Champion Buddy Wakefield, and many more. Delgado is a two-time statewide poetry championships, ranked nationally within the top 10 performers of poets with PSI Poets Slam Incorporated. Y'all hear this? Did y'all hear this right here? Delgado also took the stage at TEDx Anchorage, forming a multimedia poetic monologue entitled The Divine Connection of the Human Condition. Man, we got to give people their flowers. This is why I'm doing this here, okay? I'm skipping around. A sought-after public speaker, Karina has been an MC and a keynote speaker for such groups as the United Way, the NAACP, National Endowment of the Arts, and the YMCA, to name a few. Delgado can be heard waking up on our nation's capital, 94.7 The Drive, as well as middays at Morning Mix 106.5, remotely on Hot 95.9 in Austin, Texas, Planet 102.3 in Corpus Christi. Can we give the lady the flowers right now? Woo! Woo!
Thank you. I received those flowers.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, we got to do the bio.
Yeah.
Because you're doing some amazing things out here.
Yeah.
We're doing it, and I love that you were doing this. And that, again, it's an honor to have you on the show. Sit down and chop it up with you for a little bit.
It's an honor to be here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on. So we gave you the bio. So tell people a little bit about you. Are you from Anchorage, Alaska? Is that what we're hearing, or where are you from?
So I'm all over.
Okay.
So I'm born in Anchorage, Alaska.
Okay.
I spent about 7 years of my formative years in the Bay Area in California. I went back to Alaska for high school, and then met my husband, my son's father. After we got married, I joined the Army. And I went back and I began my career there in Anchorage, Alaska. I hopped out to Houston, Texas, and I was broadcasting out there for about 6 years, and then came here to D.C. and almost immediately got picked up by a Baltimore affiliate. So just doing, the 2 cities here in the area. And then I do 5 other stations through the power of the internet.
You see, y'all see how busy she is. She's busy. So again, we got her on the show for Women's History Month because we want to show what's going on here. And my podcast is all about the voices that are unheard. Mm-hmm. And maybe you never heard of her, but we're going to hear about her today and learn a little bit more about her on the show. So, all right, you moved around to California, to Anchorage. When did you start liking to write? Where did that all come from? Like journalism?
Sure.
Where did that come from? Was there somebody in family?
Well, my father was... he was a blues musician. Okay. He named me after his favorite Taj Mahal song. Okay. Karina. And so he was an artistic individual. My mother was very artistic as well. And then my stepfather was a very artistic person. So just growing up around creators, and then, I always, like, even as a little girl, I think I've been composing poetry even before I could actually write. I remember being young and then just, always making up poems and stuff in my head and just being, kind of a little bit of a ham and a performer even as a child. And I've always been a writer, a creative writer. And so I took on journalism and public communications in college and then fell in love with spoken word poetry. Remember the movie Slam with Saul Williams?
Yeah, that was a joy.
Yeah, that was my introduction to performance poetry. And so that's when I took my poetry off the page and began to memorize and perform it. And honestly, a lot of people think that, because my broadcast career has been so long since the 2000s, but I was doing performance poetry before, and the performance poetry is what led me to radio. Wow. I was doing a performance piece and a radio station was on site, and somebody who is a brother in radio, Don Mega, that's his radio name. He was there and he saw my poetry performance and was like, "You need to be on the radio."
Oh, wow.
And at the time I was going to college for journalism and public communications, and I was also separated from my then husband, being a single parent, working multiple jobs. And so though the internship at the radio was not paid for, I had to choose between going to college or doing the radio. And my thought was, you know what, college will always be there, and this opportunity and this moment in time will not. So I grabbed on with both hands and I never let go.
I love that. I love that. You said opportunity doesn't happen too often.
Mm-hmm. When doors are open,
you open the door, don't close it.
Right.
And that's what I always tell people that I associate with and I work with business. That, hey, be at that event. You never know who's going to see you. You never know who's going to be. As tired as I am, most of the time I'm going to events, I show up because you know what? I'm there for business. Yeah. And you never know who can be there. And that's amazing.
That's how we met.
Yeah. That's how we met. Yeah. Literally, Heidi was like, "Hey, I need you to look for my friend. She's coming in." And I was like, "Who's your friend?" And she described you. I was like, "Oh, okay. I see her now. Okay." But that's how we met. And it was just literally shout out to Heidi for introduction. Heidi's been a really big inspiration, and she's been a big support of the show. Yeah. So I just really give her a shout out. But you never know. And I love that. Mm-hmm. That you chose that. You're like, let's do it. Let's figure it out. And
a great example, just to speak to that, always saying yes. A lot of the jobs that I got along the way were because of the poetry. So one of the things that I love to give back to the community. I consider myself not necessarily an activist, but an artivist. So I like to use my gifts to give back to the community. I like to tithe my talent and tithe my time, because those are the things that are the most valuable that I have to give. And so often people have asked for my poetry performance for charitable events, things of that nature. And so I'll show up and I'll give the gift for the cause, and then it ultimately opens another door to something that is a paying, opportunity or, a job. once the mayor was in attendance at this event in Anchorage, Alaska. He was moved by the poetry performance, and then he appointed me to a seat as a commissioner on the Arts Advisory Board for the whole community.
Wow.
Just because I said yes to that free performance and gave to the cause, which was for domestic violence from mothers and children.
And that's something, you hit it on the head right there. And I love what you said. Sometimes you do things for free.
Yeah.
And you don't know it's the blessings that come at the other end.
Yeah.
And I'll tell a lot of people that you may not get paid in the beginning, but something's coming down the pipe that that you don't see yet, but it's there. And I've done a lot of shows where corporations are like, hey, we want to show. I'm like, you have all this money, but y'all can't throw me a couple dollars. But I'm like, you know what? No, don't think that way. Mm-hmm. Let me show them what I got going on. And then they walk away and say, hey, we got something going on. We know somebody who's going to hire you for something event. And so I always count my blessings when I do things like that. So I'm glad you said that. That was really cool because I think people really need to hear that and understand that. Yeah. So you brought back the soul, the jam about poetry. So poetry is your first love.
Yes.
It sounds like to me.
Yes.
And then music, then journalism was kind of like the second love. So they pretty much hand to hand.
They went hand in hand. And, it's interesting because I remember playing radio as a kid. I had the little Casio joint. Do you remember the little red with the one speaker? Mm-hmm. And it was so important because you could record the radio.
The radio, yep.
And I used to, and in the Bay Area in Oakland, it was 106.1 KMEL was the station out there. And it was hip hop and R&B station. And I used to record the radio shows.
We all did.
And then I'd, have the little mic and record my voice. And I'd be like, that was Tone Luke.
I love that.
So I've been playing radio for a long time. So that manifesting itself in my life is probably divine order in many ways. And a lot of what I would do, and I think this is where the poetry comes into play, is I loved to write, like I would record my favorite songs and I would write down the words to the songs, the lyrics to the songs, because I wanted to have those. And that really was, where that, lyricism and wordplay comes into my life. And I would incorporate that into my own poetry, especially, just growing up with hip hop and being just so deeply in love with hip hop and lyrics in particular, then, breaking down the different rhyme schemes and stuff and seeing how different people would rhyme and how, sometimes you rhyme in the middle of the line and then use that as a hook sync to bring it back to the next line. So I'm, very passionate about that.
I wasn't a poet, but I used to freestyle back in the day. I used to, we don't do no more. I don't, that's an exclusive right there. Nobody knows about it. But I used to freestyle back in the high school cafeteria. Okay. And then in college, when everybody was hanging out late night, it was always a freestyle cipher. But I love hearing that because we had sessions. It was called Blues Sunday in Syracuse. And it was like a guy, everybody would come with any craft, a freestyle, and the poetry was always that night. And so it would be a dope, just hang out and everybody's snapping their fingers. Yes. And it was just a vibe because everybody, this is in college. And we're all getting dressed up to an event. And we all listen to poetry and just people perform. And it was just like, all right, this is some grown and sexy stuff. You're 20, 21, and you're in the freezing cold, not like Anchorage. But you know what I mean? So I respect that. I like what you're talking about. So that's really cool. So folks, what we're going to do is, after these messages, we're going to talk a little bit more about how she got the poetry, the journalism, and now got the whole package. I saw her on Instagram doing some poetry in Baltimore. I was like, why I didn't get that invite? I needed to be at that show. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about, how she's fell in love with the DMV. And now she's here. She's on all these different radio stations and how she's gotten there, how she's keeping that goal. Hopefully she can drop some jewels and gems to other people out there who may want to be doing what she's doing. Right back after these messages.
When you give to United Way, your gift could be the first spark of something bigger. It can help someone find, interview for, and get hired for a job, and provide follow-up services for success. It can break down educational barriers and give that extra help to a struggling student with in-school support programs. Give today. Spark something bigger.
NoPixAfterDark podcast is fueled by Zeke's Coffee. Have you tried their coffee yet? I'm telling you, there's something different about it. Maybe it's because they roast their beans in a fluid coffee roaster, which provides the most accurate roasting temperatures and made with love. You will just have to check it out for yourself and try their delicious food while you're at it. Open now for curbside service, online ordering, carry out, and they also do wholesale. Visit Zeke's Coffee at 4719 Hartford Road. Open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Sunday, 8 to 5 p.m. Kitchen closes at 3 p.m. or visit Zeke'sCoffee.com and you too can be fueled by Zeke's.
And folks, we are back at NoPixAfterDark podcast. I want to give a shout out to the sponsors, Snug Books. Thank you guys. I get my books from you guys all the time. Zeke's Coffee, keep me going in the morning time. You know how thirsty I'm in the morning time. Also, we have Sagamore Rye that, they take care of me. Sagamore Rye, let's check them out. Also, we have United Way Central Maryland, always doing amazing things in the community. Love working with you guys. You'll see me at a lot of the different events coming up. Come check us out. Check my Instagram and whatnot. Miss Corinna Delgado is back. What's up?
Hey, I'm excited about this. So Sagamore Spirit Rye.
Yeah.
I'm about to try this ginger and rye cocktail.
Let's cheers. Let's air cheers.
Cheers.
Let's do it. I'm drinking the night brunch punch.
Ooh, okay.
Okay, let's
in the daytime.
Day drinking, just a little sip.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's good. It's kind of like, it reminds me of like if you have like a ginger beer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Just
Saturday, I'm all about that.
I'm
all about day drinking.
It's day drinking Saturday. I mean, if I was in D.C., it'd be all day, every day,
yeah.
But it's a good time for brunch time.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about journalism and how you got into it. So what was your first big gig? Like when you were like, Mama, Dad, catch the baby on the radio. Like, I'm here. Like, when was that? When's that? Because I always has that feeling when it happens.
Yeah.
Tell me about
it was in Anchorage, Alaska. So it was Anchorage's first hip hop and R&B station. So KFAT 92.9.
Okay.
That was my first radio gig. And as I mentioned previously, my dear friend, brother, and radio family, Don Mega, and then also Kim Kane, who ultimately went on to be in Power in New York City and on MTV as well. She came out. She's a Anchorage, Alaska product too. They brought me on, and I used to do an entertainment report for them. And then I worked for free in the freezing cold in Anchorage, Alaska for like 2 years. So, and I would go every day like it was my job. And so a lot of times, you get on the quote unquote, back then, I don't know if they do this now, but remember back in like the early 2000s, like late 90s, early 2000s, radio stations would have street team.
Yeah, that was the spot.
Yeah. And then they would be the people that are grinding and trying to get on. They're putting on the bumper stickers for you, handing out sodas and,
I love it.
T-shirts and all that kind of stuff. So I did street team but I was the most consistent one. And so, people will fall off and go on to do their other things, but I still showed up like every day, every time, anytime there was a live remote, they knew that they could count on me. And so when the opportunity presented itself, like somebody got fired and they were like, "Are you ready?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they knew that because I was consistent and disciplined and always showed up. So, I mean, it's just one of those things that hard work beats talent when talent won't work hard.
When you did the street team, I always go back to when, it's funny you say that. I still believe that.
Yeah.
Because I always tell people there's so much noise on the internet that you got your TikTok, your Instagram. It's nothing like being hand to hand out and just talking with people like, hey, this is my podcast. This is my radio. This is who I am. You're out there. We did it last week at See How That Weighs. I'm talking to everybody. I got my hoodie on. I'm branded everywhere I'm going. Come check me out. Here's my card. Scan it. That's the word of mouth. Nothing beats that. And you just hustled and you worked, you grinded, and look where you are now.
Yeah. And it was, again, just that hard work and consistency.
Okay.
There's no substitute for hard work and consistency. And so it was just something that I, continue to do, continue to grind. show up, all the time. So on prior service, I used to be in the Army. I was a 91 Bravo combat medic. Okay. And having that military background really instills like a core pillar of discipline and just being steadfast. And so for me, it was nothing to it but to do it. And so it's a lot of sacrifice. It's been a lot of sacrifice, but I just kept on grinding and climbing, and here I am. But I love the climb. Like,
I love it.
I love the climb.
I love it. When I look at my roster and I always look at people for Women's History Month, I was like, I had to have you on.
Oh, thank you.
Because I just knew you had a great story, and just seeing what you do. You like every morning, hey friends, like on everybody. It's like every year consistent though. Consistency is key, and you're always on the scene. You hanging out with Sunny in the city, hanging out. But that's what I'm saying. Like, you were on the scene, and I was like, I gotta get on the show because I want to know. So somebody out there understands, you gotta work hard out here.
Yeah,
nothing's ever given to you.
I'm glad that you mentioned that inside the stories, and the reason that I'm sure for some people it probably feels like they're watching reruns. So when you're inside the stories, because I'm doing the same thing at the same time every day, I wake up at 2:45 every morning, and and I'll post like my Bible verse of the day. I clock when I get into work. I wake up and say good morning, and here's what we got going on the show, etc. And even the small things like the cleaning of the house, or the things that are not so cute. Like, I'll get into my, I'm a homeowner, and I'm recently had to rent the house out. And so, getting in there and doing that grimy work and stuff. And so I think it's important to also showcase the hard work part of it, because a lot of what people see is the, when it comes to social media, just the glamorous parts. And yes, it should be a highlight reel, in my opinion. It's important to show that the fruits of your labor, as it were. But it's also important to show what it takes to have a harvest. Not just the fruit, so that people know, like, none of this came easy. And though I just came on the scene here in the DMV, it's been for a little over 4 years now, but if you're looking at my harvest, you're looking at my platter of fruit. Well, I've been doing this for 23 years. So it's a lot of work.
I like that.
It's a lot of work. So I think you got to show the work.
You got to show the work.
Yeah. Remember in school back in the day, they would like, your teacher would be like, show your work. Oh yeah. Carry the one. You have to show your work.
You know they don't do that no more. They got the new math now.
I don't understand.
They got that new math now.
I don't understand.
They got that new math. I'm like, I ain't gonna touch this right now. They don't even teach. Remember how you had to write in cursive?
Yes.
They don't do that no more.
No.
Nope. They don't teach you cursive no more.
How are people gonna learn to sign their name?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I don't know. I don't ask those questions anymore. But I had a friend the other day who I was talking with, and a young millennial, whoever it may have been, I was like, hey, she was like, hey, write this check for this and this. The kid looked at her, was like, how do you write a check?
Oh,
because it's not taught. It's not there anymore. It's like, I can tap it, scan it.
Yeah.
So she was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, and he was like, I really don't know how to write a check.
Wow.
So we grew up in a different era where you had to learn a lot more. Now, checks are really, they're still around, but not around as they used to be.
Sure.
It's kind of weird how you think about things like that, look at it. So.
Yeah, I said something, we were going to an event, and we had some young people that were working the promotions team in the car, and I said something about a cassette tape, and they were like, what's a cassette tape? And I was like, if you don't get the hell out of this car immediately, I'm gonna make you walk.
You don't know the drama of getting a pencil and wind that cassette tape back so you could play the cassette tape. You don't know the stress. You don't want to mess that tape. You just record it off the video.
Yes. What do you know about rewind?
Yeah, usually you track. We had to find that hot part and then hit it, rewind for 3 seconds, hit it.
Yes.
That was a struggle. That was a struggle.
Yeah.
So I love that. So you left Anchorage.
Struggle creates character.
It does. So where'd you go after Anchorage? When you left ready up there, where'd you go from there?
I hopped out to Houston, Texas.
Oh, H-Town, what's up?
Yes, H-Town down. And Houston will always have a home in my heart. Like I absolutely fell in love with Houston. Houston and I are trauma bonded because I went through Hurricane Harvey.
Ooh, that was tough.
And then was broadcasting throughout that whole experience. Wow. And then the triumphant rise from the water in Houston was it just made me fall so in love with Houston and the spirit of Houston. It really has a champion spirit.
Houston's a great city.
It is.
My parents used to live in Sugarland. Sugarland.
Yeah.
So they live on Sugarland. And then I went down there recently in 2015 or 16. It was for the Final Four for basketball.
Yeah.
And it was off the hook.
Yeah.
Houston different. That's a whole different. That's different down there. It's different down there. I like Houston. I like the scene, the food.
Yes.
I went to this place called French's Chicken.
Yeah.
That's like this banger.
Did you go to Papados?
Oh, you already know Papados.
Ha!
You already know. So I used to live in Dallas too.
Yeah.
So Papados was always a spot.
Yeah.
It was the only place I remember back in the day had no reservations. You just had to show up.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's still like that.
Yeah.
But you just no reservations at all. You just had to show up. Best seafood I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
So so you're going to go Texas days. Those Texas days.
Yes, I'm H-Town down.
Okay. So you were in Houston for a while, and then how'd you end up in the Mid-Atlantic? Because I'm gonna say this right now. The DMV, it's gonna be controversial.
Okay.
Is DC, Virginia, and Prince George's. Baltimore's not DMV.
I agree with that.
Okay. All right.
I agree.
So how'd you end up in the region? I'm calling it the Mid-Atlantic region. I'm gonna say
Mid-Atlantic region. But okay. I hear you.
You get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
We're not the DMV.
Sure.
We're different.
Sure. So for me, I was working in Houston on 104.1 KRBE.
Okay.
And I was doing nights, weekend, and then covering for holidays out there. And that is a Cumulus product. Wow. And I have an amazing not only she was my program director then, so she was the station manager, and now I consider her a mentor. And just like a tidbit on the side, in the world of radio, less than 5% of the programmers are women. So since it's Women's History Month. And so in the past, that's widely been regarded as a boys' club. And so as women come into these more positions of not only management, but because programming is, it's more like technical. It's not just, this is how the music should feel. There's a lot of technical that goes into that. And so Leslie Whittle is she is a powerful woman in broadcasting, and I admire her so much. But she was helping mentor my and build up my career, as she does for everyone that works for her. And I started I was able to be like completely transparent with her. Like I'm not growing here, so I'm going to start looking abroad for the next opportunity. And she was like, however, I understand, and however I can help you. How often does that ever happen in any arena?
Not a lot.
Right.
Not a lot.
And so Cox Media Group in Miami was going to pick me up. And so I was going to head out there and be on, be the digital director and do some radio stations out there. Well, if you'll recall, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the radio station, but in DC, there was a heritage station, Mix 107.3. And that was a Cumulus product. Okay. And then a position came open. And so basically Leslie was like, we can't let the competition steal her away. At least we can keep her within the same company. And so they pulled the trigger on it faster than Miami did. So they just, because Miami was like vetting me and making me go through the whole process. And then Cumulus, since I was already within the company and they didn't want to lose me, they made me the job offer immediately. Wow. And I was working for Rob Roberts at the time, and now he does radio, ironically, for Cox Media in San Antonio, Texas. Wow. So, they're always like, whenever you're ready to come back to Texas.
Right. Let me know. Let us know.
But again, it's always about, those relationships, creating and maintaining those relationships, not burning bridges, conducting yourself with not only a specific work ethic, but integrity, and just always bringing what you have to the table. Like, I don't burn bridges. And though I'm incredibly competitive, I'm not ugly to my competition across the street, because you never know when you have to, like, when one door closes, you may need to go and knock on that door and be like, hey, I'm available.
Facts. That's facts right there. So you're here in DMV, you got a job. What did you think about when you first got here? I mean, because you had Miami on deck, where you know it doesn't snow.
Right.
It's 80 to 90
Paradise.
every day. And then you come into like, it's going to be cold. So you get all 4 seasons here. Mm-hmm. Did you were you kind of like, you know what, I'm going to go wherever it flows? Is that how?
Yeah.
You were happy when you got here?
Yeah.
What was your first thoughts of DMV, like the area?
I loved it. So that station at the time was located in Friendship Heights. Okay. So, that's actually like more near Bethesda.
Yes.
And so I was able to kind of stay in that area and then dip my toe into DC proper, a little bit at a time to acclimate myself, but I loved it right away. And then as soon as I got on there, that station sold. I was there for 3 months and they were like, yo, we're selling the station and it's going away forever. And so then when news of that got out, Miami came calling again, and shout out to Phil Michaels. He's the ops manager over there, and we've always kept in touch and have great working relationship. But then a dear friend of mine was on the station across the street, which was Entercom, and he needed a morning show co-host, and so then they gave me the job offer right away. So I just felt like, oh, it must be meant to be for me to stay here.
Right.
And then that's when Baltimore, within the same company which I work for now, formerly Entercom, is now Odyssey.
Odyssey, yes.
And Tom Cook in Baltimore came knocking, and he was like, "Hey, you're doing mornings over there? Can you do middays for us?"
I love it.
And I said, "Yes."
And Odyssey's everywhere.
Odyssey's worldwide, international,
huge.
actually.
Yeah, they're huge. They're huge. And you work with Gina Crash, right?
I do.
Okay, shout out Gina Crash. What's up?
Yes, she's the best.
We've never met in person, but we've talked like through email, social media, and stuff like that. She's always been very kind, and literally, somebody came on my show, and they were like, "We just interviewed with Gina Crash. She's told us about you," and we told her we were going to see you. She was like, "Aaron's awesome," and like it was just really nice because we've never like even seen each other.
But that's who Gina is in real life.
Yeah,
she is that person in real life.
She's real good people. So shout out to Gina, definitely. So you're on. I mean, let me tell you, you're doing a lot of stuff. You working hard.
Thank you.
You got the morning show. You got the midday. You remote in Austin. Yeah. How do you do all this?
Discipline. During the pandemic, I went down this this OCD rabbit hole of studying efficiency.
Okay.
And so between like different workbooks and podcasts, as well as audiobooks on just how to do things like habit stacking and how to streamline your workflow, how to build positive habits that help automate your life. And so what once would take me an hour and a half now only takes me half an hour. And I always front load my day, and you automate what you can, and then it leaves space for other things. So in the Army, one of the things that we learn is hurry up and wait.
Okay.
And so you do it. So the whole concept of that is you get it done in a timely fashion right up front. So hurry up and wait being like that way you're available for anything that happens next, whether that's, wartime situation or, just anything else that needs to be done, helping fellow soldiers out, whatever the case may be, or, relaxation and like doing something, to your leisure, but you get the job done first.
I like that.
Yeah.
So because you're busy. You were busy. And what do you like most about the radio?
Oh, I love like spreading joy. Like I love giving light and joy to people. It is just, it gives me a sense of purpose to help brighten people's mornings, especially like for the show that I do. My show on 94.7 The Drive is the Morning Drive. I have my own morning show. And I get to my 3 core pillars of the show are positive, informative, fun. we don't fuck around with politics. We don't go down we don't go down negative spirals. None of that. The music is 80s and 90s music. And so it's nostalgic in that regard. And we just keep it really positive. And unfortunately, the original host got let go during the pandemic because of, layoffs and things like that. So, at that point, I created, instead of the conversation being between him and I created the conversation with the audience because people were isolated at that time. And so they, and a lot of people were then broadcasting from home. So they didn't have the ability to take phone calls and things like that. But I went in every day to the radio station. I have never stopped working since the beginning of the pandemic. And I would go in and do my radio show. People were like desperate to have conversations with other humans. And so I was just airing phone calls. And so the beauty of that show is that it's truly become a conversation with the community.
I love that. And now I forgot when I would be remiss if I said, you're on TV too now. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
You do. I gotta get the flowers. We gotta make sure we show the love. Yeah. You're on TV.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit of TV. Tell us a little about that.
Sure. So I'm doing a show on DCW 50, and it's called Living Local DMV. It is the daytime lifestyle show for that affiliate. And the host of the show is Charisse Gomez. Co-host is Bridget Curran. I get to be on every day bringing that conversation that I have on the radio with the listeners, which is a segment called The Last Word. And so I bring that on to the show every day. Here's what we were talking about. This is the pulse on, the finger on the pulse of the community. And here's what we're talking about. And then we play some of the callers. We play the responses from the callers. And then we open up that conversation to the host and co-host. And then I also, still do my entertainment report. So I give them the Pop 5, which is the top 5 pop headlines. And then at the end of the week, I have a segment called All Access. And so we actually bring in to the studio people from the community that have upcoming events or, that are doing big things, change makers within the community, so that we can use our platform to highlight what's really happening in the DMV in real time, as opposed to just where people have to, perhaps pay to get advertising or, use other methods. We want to open up our platform to truly be a show that is representative of the community that we live in.
I love it. That you bothered made me tear up because that's what it's about.
Yes.
People.
Yes.
And again, the podcast has always been the voice of the unheard.
Yes.
And people from the community. Yeah. And that's how it started. And that's how it spread like hot fire. And what you guys are doing, kudos to you guys. You're doing amazing things. Keep on pumping them out. Yeah. What would you say to that young woman out there who aspires to be into the media, wants to be a journalist, wants to be a poet, and they're like, wow, I see you're doing it. How can I get there? What advice would you give them?
Well, so I often speak at colleges and stuff like that. For example, are you familiar with Lou Holder?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so legendary Lou Holder, legendary sportscaster here in the DMV, and Baltimore as well. And then he actually teaches at a university. So he's brought me in. And so one of the things that I always tell college students that are interested in radio is I start with this joke. And here goes the joke. This is a dad joke. What can a large pizza do that a broadcaster can't?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Feed a family of 4.
Ooh. Wow, yeah, wow. I get that.
Because this is not where the money is.
Right, it isn't.
This is not what this is a labor of love.
Right.
And this is people performing in their passion.
Right.
And that's what that's all about. I mean, if you're among the blessed to have your paycheck reflect that, then, count it all on God.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. But
because
I like
broadcasters
that.
Don't make money like that.
I like that.
Yeah.
Wow. I like that.
I think, but it does appear to many as a glamorous or fabulous life because we're posting the pictures. We're at the events and we're, rubbing shoulders with celebrities and we get to be in the spotlight and things like that. So it's important to, I feel, Wizard of Oz, pull back the curtain of it and be like, first and foremost, do you really want this life?
Right.
Because there's a lot of work involved to even, get to it and then I don't want people to get there and then be disillusioned. Right. You have to love the climb. Like, you have to love to do it every day. The process has to be what you're passionate about.
I love this.
And so for me, and big ups to all the entrepreneurs out there. Like, I consider myself an intrapreneur. Okay. I like to operate under the umbrella of something that's already happening. I bring my gifts to things that are already going on because I don't have an entrepreneurial spirit. And I am very much like, my spirit animal is I'm a worker bee. And I think that is an important conversation to normalize, because we're living in a world that, only the entrepreneurs or being your own boss is the thing that gets the most shine. Well, there is something very important to be said about somebody that shows up and loves doing a great job. And that's how I am. I love to do a great job. I love to, I never, even in the military, it was never my aspiration to, be in charge of a squad or, be in charge of a company or a platoon. I just want to be given my orders and execute my orders to the best of my ability and be recognized for the work that I'm doing. So with that said, I always, just show up, work really hard, create capacity, fill the capacity, love, and love every moment of it.
I love it. You dropped some jewels, gems. You gave free game on here. Folks, that's
Hashtag free game.
Hashtag free game right here. And I appreciate you taking time out your day. Yeah. I know you got things going on. It's a beautiful Saturday out here. And it just really, really wanted to highlight women in the area who are doing amazing things. And I'm excited for my listeners and viewers to watch this, because I think, they always want to learn about different. And you're like, oh, I've heard her on the radio. I've seen her. Well, there you go. You get to learn a little bit more about them through the podcast. Yeah. And it's really a blessing that our honor that you come down to hang out. And I'm glad we made this happen. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. I don't get the speed round?
Oh, you want speed round? Oh, she wants to bring back the speed round. We can do speed round.
Let's do it.
I haven't done it in a while.
Let's do it.
I haven't done it all the season. Okay. So you already know the questions then, huh?
Well, are they always the same?
No, we switch them up. We're going to switch them up. Okay,
all right.
All right, let me get a sip. Let me get a little sip, bro.
Of my Sagamore Spirit Rye cocktail here.
So, real quick, okay. Crabs or crab cakes?
Crab cakes only in Baltimore.
Okay.
Outside, Alaska king crab.
Ooh, yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. Sushi or pizza?
Sushi.
What's your favorite sushi roll?
Dragon roll.
Ooh, okay. All right. Winter or summer?
Summer.
Okay. What's your favorite place of vacation?
Miami.
And if you had to go to one concert and you had Prince, Madonna, Michael Jackson, Beyonce, who would you go to?
Michael Jackson.
All right. See? And then Backstreet Boys or NSYNC. I got. Oh, okay, we can. Hold up. Hold up. New Edition or Boys and Men?
New Edition.
You're off the speed round hook. Man. See, I brought it back. Cheers. I brought the speed round back.
I'll just say this though, I did get to see Prince before he passed away. That's why I picked Michael Jackson.
Okay.
But Prince is my all-time favorite artist.
Okay.
And then I thought you were gonna ask me what concert, hands down, concert is on my bucket list now, and it's Sade.
Ooh, Sade, but Sade in England. She ain't coming out of England. Where's she been? She been stuck in
No,
England
but
for a while.
she only does every 10 years. So I think this
close?
is her year. I think we're close. Yeah.
Sade have people having a lot of kids out here, so I don't know. Sade comes
Somebody gonna get pregnant.
Somebody get pregnant with Sade. I love
Tracy Morgan. Somebody's gonna get pregnant.
I love me some Sade.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
That got me shivers. I'm gonna play that shit. You know what I'm talking about, brother. But thank you so much, Ms. Karina.
Thank you for having me.
You put me on the spot, speed round. I love it though. Thanks for coming down, and hopefully we can do some cool stuff together.
Absolutely.
In the near future. Hopefully, maybe we can get her to a live show and do her some poetry.
Don't tempt me with a good time.
Maybe we can do that. Maybe how about we're gonna get her? We're gonna have live shows coming up. We're gonna get her. Where can we find you on social media? Let's go with that.
Sure.
So plug what time your shows come on. Plug it so people can find you on air.
Okay. Monday through Friday, 6 to 10, and DC 94.7 The Drive. I do the morning show. Baltimore 10 to 2 on Mix 106.5. On the Odyssey app for all other stations. You can find us at the App Store or Google Play. I do a throwback hip hop and R&B station in Austin, Texas. That's Hot 95.9. And then you can find me Monday through Friday on DCW 50, Living Local DMV. And then links to all of the above at CarinaDelgado.com.
Okay. Did you get Beyonce tickets yet?
Nah, I think they're asking for a kidney.
Yeah.
Or plasma.
Yeah.
Plasma if you want to sit in the nosebleeds, a kidney if you want to get close.
I'm good. I'll tell you a story offline about the Beyonce story. Folks, love, peace, we're out.